So let's recap. We've done the promise, the fleece, and the Truett Cathy story. Today I would like to tell you about the Johnny Cash story. In the early days when Jeff, Scott, and I were living in Chapel Hill, we went to Virginia to meet with leaders of a large Christian professional fundraising organization. They were doing their best to persuade us to stop Omni. I remember one of them saying, "Guys, you won't even raise the down payment on the kind of property you're talking about, much less the money to build the buildings." When they recognized we would not be persuaded, one of them said, "Well, guys, if you're determined to do this, there is a man in Florida you need to meet. His name is Johnny Cash. Not a singer, but his name is Johnny Cash. I have no idea how to get up with him, but you guys need to meet him." We wrote the name down and went home. Let's fast forward about 2 years. We were in final negotiations on a piece of lakefront property about 10 times greater than anything we had ever imagined. It was about then that I felt God leading me to go to the Deltona Corporation, they are the ones that own the property, and ask them to donate the property to us. I went to Jeff and Scott with this idea. I'll never forget. Scott just kind of looked at me and shook his head and said, "Clay, you know that we have already negotiated the price of the property down to less than a third of what they originally asked. You also know that what they originally asked was fair. And on top of that, Clay, they have no need of a tax write-off." Then he shook his head again and he said, "Well, I guess I'll ride to Miami with you." A couple of days later, we were in the car beginning an 11-hour drive to Miami. The next thing we knew, we were sitting in the executive offices of the Deltona Corporation. I gave them the absolute best sales pitch I could muster. They responded just like Scott predicted. They laughed. So we crawled back into the car and began the long ride back home. We decided to stop in Orlando to break up the trip. It was late evening when we arrived in Orlando, and I just couldn't add insult to injury by spending the whole evening in a roach motel. I remembered a friend of mine from Auburn who lived in Orlando. I decided to give her a call and ask if she would like to go out to dinner. Scott said he was just too tired to go. At dinner, I was telling her everything about Omni, everything we were doing, all of our plans, and she listened for a while. And then all of a sudden she stopped me and said, "I have got to introduce you to my uncle. His name is Johnny Cash." Well, she did introduce me to her uncle. Johnny, he soon joined Mike Colon and John Boone on the Omni board. Those three men served Omni tirelessly for many years to come. Thank you.